Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. All right, back with you. 866 Talk Gun gets you in here. I'm Tom Gresham. It is Gun Talk. We're at a gun site, the famous training facility, firearms training facility out in the high desert of Arizona. And you never know who's going to walk by. I just grabbed Mr. Corey Trapp, Range Master, joins us. Corey, it's always a pleasure.
Good afternoon, sir. Glad to be here.
You doing okay?
I am well, and yourself?
I am good. You get to play with all the toys. Corey is the high-tech guru out here. Among other things, and I want to talk about long-range precision riflery, which you teach.
I do.
Along with, I like to call you Santa Claus with a machine gun, because you got the big white beard, and you teach that as well. And then we'll touch into a little bit of the night vision stuff, which is kind of a new thing for me to learn about, but,
Sure, we're doing a regular night vision class here now. It's on the schedule.
I was just, we're staying with Bob and Jane Ann, and Bob took the class. He said, says the class isn't that expensive until you finish.
Yeah, the class itself doesn't cost you anything. It might as well be free. It's all of the equipment you need to take the class.
And then when you get out, you realize all the stuff you don't have that you need.
Yeah, so all of a sudden, wow, I need to buy this, and the other thing.
And as with everything else, the good stuff costs good money. Fair enough?
Well, it's just dirty paper. You can always get more of it.
Just for example, people say, I really don't want to spend more than like $600 on a scope. When you get into the night vision stuff and all, that 10 grand is not out of the realm of possibility, and then you can blow right past that.
Oh, yeah. $10,000 is more or less a starting point.
Is that right?
Yeah. Right now, a set of PVS 31As are about $12,000 just for the goggles, and then you'll need the helmet, the mount.
What's a couple of grand for a good helmet?
Depending upon whether you go ballistic or bump, you might spend $1,000 there, by the time you get the mount and such, and then you'll need lights and lasers and that sort of thing. So,
what's the thinking behind wanting to go get the training? If you're not going to be a SEAL, you're not going to be doing that kind of stuff, why does the guy in Des Moines want to take this training and end up with all this gear? What's the application?
Well, there are a lot of night hunting operations. Pig hunting, for example, in Texas is almost all under night vision or thermal.
And they will spend whatever it takes to kill those critters. They will spend
whatever it takes because you can't kill enough of them fast enough.
You can't. It's literally impossible to kill enough of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got that. And then you got what if the riots break out and the stuff is really hit the fan, and it's probably whatever happens is going to be at night?
You got to think that the majority of combat takes place in low light or no light conditions. And if you have night vision and the other guys don't, you have a significant tactical advantage, assuming you know how to actually use it.
That last part is interesting. You can't just buy the gear and just put it on?
No, it seems like that, but the reality is it takes a fair bit of time just to learn to move around and operate, because now you can't see anything at arm's length and in. Right? Recognize you can see none of your equipment. You cannot see your rifle or handgun. You have to be able to do everything by touch.
It's like looking through a paper toilet roll or something.
It's looking through a toilet paper tube of the world. You've got basically a 40-degree field of view now, so you have no peripheral vision.
Okay.
You can't see any of your own equipment.
You could actually trip and fall down doing this.
I've had that kind of problem before. People walk into walls. They step off of steep areas and fall down into ravines or step in holes.
Okay, but
it's ugly.
You could train people how to use this and move around with it on?
Yeah, it's a practiced skill.
Okay.
You need to understand the limitations of your depth perception now that you're looking at essentially a television screen.
Right.
For practical purposes, you're looking at the back of a wafer.
Right.
So you need to learn how that affects your depth perception. One of the drills I have is just tossing a soft stuffed ball back and forth to each other. And, of course, in daylight, people toss the ball and grab it with one hand, and it's simple.
Okay.
You put the night vision on, and you can't play catch. It's like impossible. You look so uncoordinated. Beer goggles is what it looks like. Oh my God, I can't even catch this at 5 feet. I don't understand. And they throw it past people.
Right.
You can't open doors. There's all sorts of just weirdness that happens until you get used to it.
This is why Special Forces guys train with this all the time.
Yeah, you need to spend not an insignificant amount of time, several hours at least, just learning how to move around and do everyday tasks. Things like driving, that starts to get complicated. Yeah, when Buzz had his helicopter, he wanted to go out and fly him under nods, and I went, no. No.
No. Yeah.
Straight up, no. We're not doing that.
Just not getting in that aircraft.
Yeah, not doing that.
Well, what about shooting a firearm, wearing all this stuff?
Depends upon how you intend to use it. With a laser, as a pointer under an image intensifier, it's dirt simple.
An IR laser?
Yeah, the IR laser provides a pointing spot on the target.
Right.
All you have to do is put the spot on it, press the trigger to the rear. So you don't even have to mount the gun anymore. In fact, it's sometimes detrimental to get a normal shoulder mount with your carbine.
So you just tuck it under your arm?
You can tuck it under your arm. You can lay it across your lap. You can do almost anything with it because all you have to be able to do is direct the dot.
Makes sense.
Right?
Okay.
Now, the downside to that is you are now active. You are projecting information out into the world. If you turn the laser on,
somebody else is wearing night vision, they can see.
Correct.
Okay.
And even cheap night vision will see that.
Okay.
People's cell phones, a lot of those are night sensitive and sensitive into the IR. The chip is anyway, depends on the cut filter. They may see it.
Oh, wow.
So that is kind of like shining a flashlight, which you don't really want to do.
Not a good tactical move.
So learning to operate passively is a big part of the class. That is why aim points, for example, have a night setting. Right? Everybody turns the night vision setting on. It's like, I can't see the dot. You're not supposed to.
You're not wearing night vision.
You're not wearing nods. Okay. So having that ability to operate passively is important, and that takes some learning. Right? It is not as straightforward as it seems because now you're trying to align two tubes, not just put the one tube in front of your face and see the dot.
Sure, yeah.
All right. So even a hollow sight, which you would think is really short and really easy, not as straightforward as it seems.
How long is the class?
The class is 3 days.
Okay, as in 3 nights.
As in 3 nights, yeah. We spend a fair amount of time in the classroom explaining how the equipment works, the difference between thermal and image intensifiers and fused systems, how to configure all the equipment and such. So there's a fair amount of classroom time that takes place between lunch and when we actually go out to the range.
So when people want to come out here and say, I want to be able to shoot at long range, of course, what is long range?
Right.
Is one of the things. Do you have a demarcation point where you say this is, starting to shoot long range with a rifle?
Long range for us starts at about 400, 500, and goes out from there. The general rifle class shoots 300 to 400. Right? That's where a conventional rifleman can have a point-blank zero on the gun and not have to deal with holdovers, not have to have too much of a problem with wind with most calibers.
Right.
And its general hunting ranges are 300 and in.
Okay. Things get much more complicated. It gets more complicated quickly as you go further out.
That is the problem. Once you start exceeding about 400 to 500 yards for most calibers, wind starts to become a significant obstacle to success, and secondarily, range finding. Right? If you don't have a way to get the range, and even if you do get the range, you don't have a way to read the wind, you're not going to hit smaller targets. And if we're talking an average target of, say, a minute to a minute and a half, you're going to have a really hard time hitting anything.
Yeah, at 1,000 yards, we're talking 10 to 15 inches, minute and a half, ballpark. And the problem with wind, drop you could figure. With the laser rangefinders, you probably could figure out the distance, but the wind can change 6 times between you and whatever it is you're shooting.
Yeah, if you take your standard 168 grain match 308 cartridge, at 1,000 yards, 1 mile an hour is worth 11 to 12 inches of wind drift.
Holy cow.
Which, if you're shooting at a 1-minute target, is the entire width of the target.
So just a 1 mile an hour change in the wind.
Just 1 mile an hour worth of wind moves the bullet that much.
And you've done everything else perfectly.
Yes.
And you still miss.
Yes.
How do you teach people to hit?
We spend a fair amount of time on the known distance range, and we team people up. So one person is shooting, one person is spotting. Because if you sit directly behind the shooter with a spotting scope and you learn how to look at trace, the disturbance in the air that the bullet makes as it's going down range,
right,
and then read mirage and the other visible indicators, you get an idea of what the wind speed is. You make a call. The shooter holds that, fires. The impact downrange tells you whether you were right or wrong. You adjust, you hit, and now you know you can work backwards and go, well, if we hit holding 0.7 mil, then the wind speed is this. That's what it is. Because the bullet doesn't lie.
What I think I'm hearing you say is that you can learn as much being a spotter as you can being a shooter.
Actually, I've had people take the class 3 and even 4 times, right? And they would rather spot than shoot. Because the shooter, in this particular case, when you're learning this way, the shooter is literally a monkey.
Just hold here, pull the trigger.
Exactly. I mean, your job is to keep the gun loaded,
okay,
right? Hold where the spotter tells you to hold, and press the trigger straight back to the rear. Apply basic marksmanship principles.
Right.
That's your job.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, but you're not having to decipher what's going on out there.
The spotter needs to do everything else. The spotter needs to locate, range, make a wind call, give you the dope, and then record the results of the engagement.
Okay, I have actually had that experience. Been out on a range, with an excellent spotter, and I'm running the gun, and I don't know long-range shooting.
Nope.
But I can press the trigger pretty well.
I usually explain to people that I can go down to the Safeway parking lot, grab anybody who's never seen a rifle before, bring them out to the 800-yard line, and have them hit the 10-inch plate at 800, knowing absolutely nothing. The problem is if I turn around and walk away, they have no chance.
That was my experience. If he told me where to hold, I could hit the darn thing.
Right.
But doing it on my own, not a chance in the world.
Yeah, there's an art form to learning to call wind. That part of it's science, but part of it's art. And it takes some time. That's why I said we can't do the class in less than 7 days and do justice to the client. I mean, there are 3-day rifle classes, and that's all well and good. I can certainly teach you basic marksmanship in 3 days.
Right.
But I can't teach you how to range find, read wind, apply holds, and communicate effectively as a team. I can't do that in 3 days.
And also, it's building an experience base of when it looks like this, it means this.
Correct.
And you can only do that by being out there a number of hours and building that base.